Spaz and Sean, please, for once in your life on this show.
Eat shit.
It's after the 10-second mark. We're good. What is going on, everyone? And welcome back. It's been a long time. Welcome into College Football After Dark, right here on the Voice of College Football. We're going to do our intros here and then play a special promo for Mark. So one by one, Jackson, John, Hunter, Spaz, so on. Please introduce yourselves as always and tell people where they can find you.
They can find me on Jackson Johnson 979 on YouTube. They can on Jackson 6335 on X. They can find me on Jackson Johnson 543908 on Instagram and Threads. We're on all three about what's going on in the world, so to speak. And you can also check out my latest 2 episodes of the Jacksonian with Corey Bradda from the Hawkeye at the Storm and co-host of Hawkeyes Live at Iowa Voice College Football, where we discussed our take on Iowa women's basketball, men's basketball, and the Iowa football program and where we go from there. And also had on Big 10 Wednesday night where we discussed a lot about conference realignment and what 2024 looks like for the Big 10. Sometime tomorrow afternoon, I will be releasing episode 38 of the Jacksonian with Justin Coos Walker, the host of Coos' Corner, where we will be discussing a lot about West Virginia football, conference realignment for the Big 12, the impact Jerry West had on and off the court, and much, much more. And let me tell you something, folks. It's going to be a wild ride. Stay tuned.
All right. Jackson, aka Double J, he gets some. He actually gets some pretty quality guests. So you can learn some stuff. I'm not just saying that because I was part of an episode, but it's good stuff. So you can follow me at John Diadamo. I host Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, Michigan Wolverines Live. If you aren't following the Michigan Football at Voice of College Football channel, now is a great time because we're releasing content every single day, from recruiting to statistical analysis to point a minute. There's content every day, so just subscribe, hit that bell. That's all I ask. Go Blue.
Okay, is it me? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I can tell it's getting close to the to football season because now we have all the casuals showing up here. Not here with us to break down Mary Mack or go into depth on Kennesaw State's transition to the FBS. And I want to say this right up front. If you can't handle Mary Mack, I don't think you're after dark material, to be honest.
Stop it with Mary Mack.
Okay, I am Sean. And you can find me here. And if John ever wants to restart up the Ocho again, I'll be there almost every week. And that's where you can find me. If you're in Kalamazoo this Thursday and you want to stop by Bella's Brewery, I'll get you an Oberon. I'm trying to get a sponsorship with Bella's because of all the product placement I've given them through the past year on this show, but so far no avail.
All right, I guess that's you, Hunter.
Hunter, you're up.
Hunter is not there right now, apparently.
Can we find Hunter?
Spaz, where can people find you if they want to do so?
Well, they can find me right there on Sean_SpazDrag on Twitter. You can also find me on Facebook under my alias, Sean Bryant. And you can find me on TikTok at SeanBryan75. And on here every Tuesday or Wednesday night with Ben and occasionally others that may show up from time to time as we talk Voice of College Football Oregon on Tuesday nights.
Tune in Tuesday nights for Wolverines Live from John.
Tuesday and Wednesday.
What'd you say?
Tuesdays and Wednesdays just depends on Ben's schedule.
There we go. Tune in Tuesdays or Wednesdays for Ducks Live on Oregon Football at the Voice of College Football. Let's get that channel to 2,500 subs. And be sure to tune in to Wolverine Live every Tuesday night from John Deanna, PJ Ronan, Ferris Kahn, and friends for your expertise on the Michigan Wolverines. You can also tune in Thursday nights for the Wolverines call-in show.
God,
Sean, when are you starting the Ohio State voice channel?
I have not been consulted or inquired to do so, but we really should get something going because it feels like the Wolverines are starting to run this channel. I don't know, maybe an 8-4, 7-5 season might change that. Who knows?
It's great to be the champions.
Okay, you maniacs. Jesus. But that's right. Join me and Spaz Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Central. We'll have Big Ten Ted on to talk Oregon and all things there going to the Big Ten in our first season. And check out my channel on YouTube, Exploring Ben and Sam. And we have to do it for Mark as requested. He demanded it in a special email. So I have to do it. I had to download the damn file because Mark had to make it such a long one. Enjoy Mark's promo and please check out his new sponsor.
Yeah.
As I actually have a degree from Southern New Hampshire University. So I have a bachelor's.
Speaking of which, we do have an Ohio State live show, but it's quite different than the other ones, in that it involves like people that have actually professionals in covering football. So
wait a minute, wait. Was that? Hold on now.
No. Whoa.
Long. Mark talks to a panel of longtime veteran journalists, up to and including Kevin Noon, Tony Gardeman. God, I'm missing.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. It's like Tuesday or Wednesdays at like 11.
Yeah, they play it. They have it right in the middle of the day because they're all old and they can't stay up till 8.
Friction. You watch your mouth there in the chat. Friction. She's just bombing from another channel, so I know
what
who
is
she is.
Kyle
She's
saying
cool.
here?
Kyle's telling us to get more people in the chat. That's a high number.
You too, Kyle.
That's a high number in the
get this YouTube link out to all of your Facebook groups and friends and everything else, and if we all do it, that's how it goes.
Yeah. So mods,
There's been shows when we've had 500, 600, 700, 800, 900 people.
Yeah, during the season, off season is so different. But I will say mods, Friction Vixen, leave her alone. She's cool. She doesn't mean any hate or anything like that. So let's get going. Here's Mark's promo. Please, everyone, do check out SNHU, his sponsor. It helps him. It helps the channel out a lot. And we're going to roll it here. So sit back and enjoy the long promo.
Love what I do as a sports commentator. I have definitely been blessed. I enjoy my career. But I got to say, if I could turn back time, I would learn the business side of sports management, how to manage people, how to manage projects, how to manage situations. And then there's also those times in which you feel stuck in a job, stuck in a career, just feeling that there's a dead end and wondering and waiting, when is that break going to happen? Well, unfortunately, I got to tell you, that break is not coming unless you make it happen. Sports is your passion. You love it, you live it, you breathe it. Why not make your passion your career? Introducing Southern New Hampshire University, our sponsor. At SNHU, you will learn the business side of sports, sports management principles, and how to gather and analyze data. This degree will help you prepare for a career as an athletic director, sports information director, marketing manager, and other exciting roles in the sports industry. You'll be able to tap into SNHU's network of graduates working in sports-related organizations. You'll also have the opportunity to take advantage of an internship or an experiential learning course within the field. Your courses are taught by faculty with real-world experience, so you'll have opportunities to connect with people in the industry. And when you graduate, SNHU will be right there to help you with your job search. SNHU is accredited, nonprofit, and has radically affordable tuition. SNHU was voted one of the country's most innovative universities by U.S. News and World Report. Just go to snhu.edu/VOCFB. The link's also in my description section down below to see if you qualify for SNHU's sports management program. You might be eligible for financial aid or have existing college credits that could fast-track your degree at SNHU. Click the link to get started. Your exciting sports management degree at SNHU awaits you. Do it now.
There was Mark on the channel. Boom.
As we just lost all of our viewers for his 2 hours.
I don't know. It's a long one. I don't know. But yeah.
Johnny's your friend. Go talk to him.
But thank you, SNHU, for sponsoring the channel. It does help. And yeah, everyone can benefit if they choose to. So check out the link in the description. But as to this story we have tonight, unless Jackson just decided to disappear here. Jackson, this atrocity of a topic is your baby. So I'm going to throw it off to you, actually, and let you kind of Austin had problems as usual, and Hunter said he was having some problems, so they may be back. So we will see if they come back. But this is your baby, Jackson, kind of your idea. So please do explain, people, what kind of the idea of tonight's show is.
Well, I want to discuss a little bit 2020. Yeah, because teams like Michigan, Penn State, what do they have in common? A disastrous season in 2020. And they turned out all right for them. I mean, Penn State, not so much, but Michigan, it was a blessing in disguise for them, especially for guys like Jim Harbaugh, because, he went from squarely on the hot seat to people wondering why the hell he wasn't fired right away, to being very happy with the job he was doing in Ann Arbor. And we saw Washington, for example, have a disastrous season in 2020. I mean, let's be real. Jimmy Lake was a disaster of a head coach, but then the Kalen DeBoer era happened. And we saw Alabama and Ohio State, Clemson, Notre Dame. They go to the playoffs in 2020. Alabama and Ohio State play for it all. Alabama wins the Natty. Question: would anybody consider, it's not exactly disastrous for the rest of college football to be fighting for the playoffs or fighting for conference titles, but in Bama Nation and Ohio State Nation, Clemson Nation, they certainly look at it as a disaster, especially for the Buckeyes, because they haven't had a single win against Michigan throughout this decade. And I can tell you right now, that was a debacle in of itself. But, there's teams that have been somewhat immune to karma of 2020. They don't seem to be getting any bad karma, which, why should they? I mean, they didn't do anything wrong. They didn't ask for this crap to happen. They won the Pac-12 because, certain circumstances happened. 2021, terrific season.
Yeah. And I agree here with Roger Dodger. that made them hold on to Clay Helton, which I would agree with killed USC a bit. But I do want to touch real quickly just because I don't want it to get in the background and people will start texting me in the private chat going, "Hey, did you miss it?" And like, no, I didn't miss it. I've been doing this long enough now. Kyle, you got to drop 6 more of those. No, I'm kidding. Kyle, Kyle Pickett's always here. He's a great viewer of the show, and the support helps the channel a lot. Mark appreciates it. We all appreciate it. So, Kyle, thank you
Thanks,
very much.
Kyle.
And yeah, of course, we hope to hit the number as we come up on the season, especially the numbers for all the shows are going to start growing again.
I think that's the biggest hit I've seen since I've been on here.
Well, maybe that's why he gave it, because you're here. Maybe you're the trick. Keep showing up, Spaz. Keep showing up. Now I'm commanding you to do it.
I got to say, Jackson, you look like beautiful Bobby Eaton.
Nice.
But Kyle, yeah, we appreciate it. Mark appreciates it. So always pleasure to have you here. Something with this whole topic too, there's caveats to the whole situation of 2020 because conferences play a different amount of games, coaching changes, of course, staff changes, overhauls, of course, like going forward after that. So there are some caveats to like success of how a team did or why a team didn't do well, maybe afterwards or because of it, or record percentage wise, even wins and losses because of a short season versus a full season in 2020, especially. So there are some. That's why 2020 always has like an asterisk next to it for some teams outside of Alabama. Outside Alabama, I'm going to give Alabama the natty in 2020. They went undefeated, no issues, ran the table, no problems.
In some ways, I think it was unfair to Bama because I think that was maybe the best Bama team of the Saban era. I mean, they were pretty dominant pillar to post.
Yeah,
that season. Their offense set records. I mean, no one could slow them down that season. I mean, it's just. I mean, so for them to, and they would have been heavy favorites probably in a full season anyway. So that was.
That's why that season I give them. I don't have an asterisk next to their natty because they went 15-0. They did it, and like until Bo Nix this last year, Mac Jones had the completion percentage record, and they were a pretty high flying offense. They were explosive, so I will give them all the credit for that year, no matter what. It just sucks comparing it to other conferences because of the differences in scheduling.
Well, Sean, what do you think? Sean, what do you think that the commonality is? Because if you notice, the teams that performed well that year, with the exception of Indiana, but like if you look at Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, even, what did they have in common?
Well, probably a lot of stuff. Are you getting at a quarterback thing or a coach?
Quarterback, but I would say also the talent that you guys had. Was able to carry you through the Zoom workouts and everything else because like everybody knew what they needed to do, and it like your programs don't necessitate as much the growth and development in person aspect, where I think you guys were able to survive on the fact that there were so many Zoom workouts, there were so many things that weren't in person. I just feel like teams that have that talent like built in already, like it's a machine, they tend to do better.
And I mean, like one of the teams that did far better that season, that was by far Jimbo Fisher's best season at Texas A&M was that season. And that was, what are we laughing at here, guys? I mean, these
super chats, yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, keep going. You're going with Texas A&M, but Kyle. Oh god, that made my night already. Here's another 50 for the guy in the bottom right. I guess that's Spaz. Spaz just picked up another $50. he's cheap like that. So, you know, Kyle, amazing.
Wait till you see me drunk on a show.
Please. Oh, well.
Now that's a promo right there.
God. No, Spaz, please don't do that again. Not with the statue thing. No, don't do that again with the statue for like 5 minutes straight. Please.
Oh, good Lord.
Please.
Oh, y'all.
I clearly missed a good one.
That was the Oregon show.
Oh.
I wanted to make a short of it.
Right here.
I wanted to make a short of it, but Mark blocked us from making shorts. He blocked that option, I guess. I don't know if that's from me or some other channel. So
right
I can't
there.
do shorts. No, put it away. Get out of here. I will remove you from this show immediately. All right. Anyways, Kyle, appreciate it. You know you're the man.
Sean, are you drinking hot sauce? That was out earlier. Are you drinking hot sauce?
Hot sauce? No, I am not drinking hot sauce.
Somebody earlier said it looked like you were drinking a bottle of hot sauce.
No, that's definitely not hot sauce. Yeah.
Hot sauce Sean, aluminum room. Yes.
Sean, carry on with tech. You were talking Texas A&M, Jimbo Fisher's best.
Yes, that was. I mean, like this was by far the best season he had at A&M, and they were always believed to be a highly talented team, but during his tenure, but you know, for this, that, and the other reason, like the results didn't match it, except for this season. This season, their only loss was to Bama. You know, they kind of dominated their schedule outside of Bama, and a lot of weird, wacky things. Yeah, you look at I'm looking at the regular season final top 10 here, and you had A&M at 5, Cincinnati at 6. I mean, they were a good program for a few years. Indiana at 7, Coastal Carolina at 9, and Florida at 10. I think it's fair to say these weren't like predictive future success in any way.
Oh no!
So, I don't think Indiana would have never ever gotten picked 7th in any final ranking until then.
Indiana had that was an amazing year for Indiana, and Michael Penix until his injury and he transferred again.
That was Penix last year. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they were this.
Penix came back the next year. He got injured pretty.
Yeah.
Well, he got injured pretty early. He missed most of the 21 season, and Indiana went 2-5.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean because Indiana was this close to potentially beating Ohio State.
Oh yeah.
So that in 2020.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of Ryan Day made one of the worst calls in that game that doesn't get any attention because they ended up winning the game eventually. I remember they were up. They were up 7 with like 5 minutes to go. And they had the ball. It was they had a 4th and 1 at about the 6-yard line. And like normally that's a reasonable spot to go for it, but you're up by 1 score with a chance to go up by 2 scores with 5 minutes to go in the game. You just do that. Like it's not a discussion. It's not, it's clearly a mistake to go for it. They went for it and didn't get it. And I thought at that moment they were going to lose because I didn't think they were going to stop Penix.
And Penix he got picked off, I think, didn't he? He threw an interception on that final drive, I think, or something.
It was like a 4th and a mile situation, but I thought they were going to. I thought there was a really good chance they were going to end up losing that game when they, and then that's a boneheaded decision that people don't remember because the outcome didn't kill them.
I did want to touch just quickly. That's why I left it up here from Kevin here. At least 2020 games was a fair way to play with no teams having home field advantage. That is true, even with the built-in noise. I mean, the SEC was different because they actually had, I believe the SEC still had some fans, but like for most of the teams, it was all just blared in noise. And if you go back and watch some of those games, it's absolutely bizarre. to see no one in the stands for anything except for the cutouts. They would put up the funny cutouts in the stands. It's so weird to look back and watch some of those.
Well, I mean, and then you had like that crowd noise that sounded like Madden crowd noise, just like artificial, just like
that's what it was. That's what it was. It literally was just like video game. That's like all it was. Boo. That's all it was. It was like
here's that really got me frustrated. You're gonna get sick if you have Texas LSU play each other. But you're going to be all fine if you have Texas A&M LSU on the schedule. I never understood that. Like, if it was like the really out-of-state non-conference games, that's fine. But the games like taking off Florida State, Clemson, South Carolina, Louisville, Kentucky, and Georgia Tech for that 1 year, that made 0 sense to me, to be honest. But we got to have Notre Dame, Clemson. I mean,
well, if you remember, Notre Dame joined the ACC for that one season. Right. They actually were an ACC member for that season. Otherwise, because of conference restrictions, they wouldn't even had a season because they wouldn't have been able to put together a schedule, given that like no one was playing non-conference games that year.
Yeah. And it was like the only year that I could think of where Notre Dame Navy didn't play on account of the 2020 season. So instead, they played South Florida.
I know the service academies did play that year. I was wondering for a second there, but I do remember Army. I remember Army playing Cincinnati that year, so I do remember. No, they played.
Here's what I'll say about 2020. If you were east of Michigan, you didn't have COVID restrictions. If you did, they were very loose and very laxed. And you never really heard about, because I know people that live down in the South and shit, and that 90% of them didn't adhere to shit.
Yeah, everything Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and kind of up until DC. Yep. No one really gave two shits. So that's why I traveled the most to film for my channel, because it was cheap, no traffic, and no one really gave a crap.
Yeah.
No one cared.
And
yet, but on the West Coast, well, that's the sad thing, because West Coast, you really didn't get a football season. Even Midwest, it was shortened, and then the West Coast was even worse because it was only 5 games. It was a miserable season if you were a college football fan for West Coast teams, because you were like, are we going to have one at all?
And you didn't even start playing until November, right?
Like last week, October, first week of November, basically. Yeah, we had 5 games.
Yeah.
And then half of those were damn canceled because of, restrictions.
Yeah. In late July, the Big Ten, the Pac-12, said they were going to cancel the season and move it to spring of 2021. But then everybody was not too happy about it. So they decided in September, you know what? 2020's back on. Starting in October 24th for the Big Ten, we're back on. Starting in November, we're back on for the Pac-12.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys remember this, but the Big Ten announced like a 10-game conference only schedule, like in the middle of the summer, like early in the summer there.
Oh, and I remember it was worse than that. Schlissel, Michigan's president at the time, Mark Schlissel, before he got caught with some off-the-field activities in the sex department, But he tried to shut the entire season down for the Big Ten. And so it was about to be even worse. But luckily, everyone else, I guess, overruled
the Big Ten did cancel the season. Kevin Warren and the university presidents announced the cancellation of the season before initially. But then earlier when they were trying to make this it kind of work. They announced like a modified 10-game in-conference season, like everyone plays 10 games, and the initial schedule had the Michigan-Ohio State game like in the middle of October. It was, well, at least then we would have played probably, but who knows?
Well, that's the point. And the Pac-12 followed the Big Ten because the Big Ten canceled, then the Pac-12 canceled. The Big Ten said it went back on. The Pac-12 was like, well, shit, I guess now we gotta go. But then they were behind the 8 ball as usual.
It was a difficult time. The Big Ten, there was a study of Penn State. Penn State studied a bunch of athletes that had Penn State athletes that had gone through COVID, that had experienced it. And I guess they found like a pretty severely elevated risk of myocarditis. And that was sort of the impetus for the Big Ten. Or, I mean, at least that was the public justification for them canceling it at the time. And, and I guess the rest of the conferences said, screw that. We're not, I mean, we don't care. I mean, the universities were in sort of a difficult situation. I mean, we can say this like knowing exactly like how COVID has kind of played out now, but like this was a completely new paradigm, and there's possibly huge liabilities for this down the line. So it's understandable why they would want to be pretty cautious with this. I mean, you don't want to hear like 10 years down the line, hey, there's a $20 billion lawsuit settlement with, these athletes that develop long-term complications from this.
Sure.
I look at 2020 as a whole, no matter who anyone was, not in outside the football realm, in any decisions initially made with COVID, because you didn't know what was gonna happen, how it was gonna play out for at least the first few months. But as the summer went on, people kind of went, but I get it. The schools were in a very tough, difficult situation of making decisions for the staff, the players, all the students, etc., etc. So it was. I mean, that was not an easy decision. It's not like they just went, screw it. We're all don't worry about it.
And I mean, like the political environment was across the whole country was about as toxic as I have ever seen it in my entire life. And I felt like everything you did was colored through the lens of political affiliation and ideology during that time. So, I mean, like there was, I grant an enormous amount of grace to anybody that may in hindsight have made, unwise decisions it was an impossible situation to navigate, especially for university presidents and college administrators.
Yeah, I mean, no matter where you are, you were walking on like thumbtacks basically, no matter what you did. Because if you did it and then a team was like, well, we have too many players out, we can't do it, you're like, oh crap, this just wrecked the season. Even if you had a short season, I mean, like no matter what you did, you were in a no-win situation as a AD, a university president, or a commissioner to a degree outside the SEC. The SEC won 2020, I think. I mean, not just because they got the natty out of it, but because they said screw it and did it anyways.
Well, they still did have some restrictions. Like they weren't filling their stadiums to capacity.
No, they did. What was it, like 45% or something like that? 50%?
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Still, there were people there, and then you watch the Big Ten or the Pac-12, and there it's so weird again.
Cutouts.
It's just so weird to watch and listen to those games.
Cardboard cutouts and Sega Genesis noise.
Yeah.
In your living room.
Well, I do have to. I want to pull up this graphic to go over with you guys because there are some interesting teams. So this is a betting site. So if anyone has the accuracy, it's going to be a betting site with win, losses, ties, average margins, percentages. This is overall, but we can break it down by conference. We can break it down by home advantage, etc., etc., etc. if you would like to. But there are some surprising names on this. And again, we have to put some asterisk in the sense of win percentage because obviously 2020 cut down some win-losses for certain conferences, but that's not to detriment the people that have better win-losses because they played more games. So you kind of have to take it as you will, I guess, basically. So let me see here. Let me see if this will work. This computer's been, I need to take this PC in for work. This thing sucks lately. Baz, I swear, I don't know what you're waving around the screen. I have something over. I just saw you moving something over the screen right now, and I will. But here we go. So this is Bet IQ, and as you can see up here, we have win-loss record, number of total win-loss ties, win percentage, the percentage of the time team won, the MOV, average margin of victory even, and the ATS, the average amount of points the team covers by spread. And this is since 2020, all games, all conferences. So this is 2020 till now. And Georgia is number 1.
Damn, Ohio State was 7 losses and 4 of them to Michigan.
4?
That's right. Well, wait.
Where's the fourth one coming?
3. One of those is to Oregon.
Yeah,
Spaz.
Oregon got
Oregon. We got one of those.
Yep,
Oregon. Spaz.
Yeah, Michigan,
Bama.
3 to Michigan, Oregon, Bama, Georgia, and God, who was the other one?
Clemson, wasn't it?
No, that was in 2019.
Oh, yeah, it was 2019.
Mizzou.
Mizzou, okay.
Oh, Mizzou, yeah, Mizzou.
Yeah. I forgot that. I barely remember the name.
And then, of course, they like this one. This is why I say there's caveats to this. So you have James Madison up here. With all due respect to James Madison, they've only been in FBS for 2 years. Mm-hmm. But that's an impressive record. That's why they're up here so high in the percentage-wise.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one, too. It's like Coastal Carolina, and we were talking about 2020 scheduling. I mean, look at 2020. What did happen? BYU had to cancel a game, right? Boom. 6 days later, they were playing Coastal Carolina at Coastal Carolina.
Yeah.
They could schedule it if people wanted to. People just chose not to. You know, that was an amazing game, too, by the way. That BYU Coastal Carolina game.
Zach Wilson leading down. Tackled, was it Gunnar Romney, like about 2 yards short of the end zone?
That was a great game. That was a great game.
Oh, that last.
And I'll tell you, like, one of the absolute unequivocal biggest winners of 2020, definitely, maybe the biggest one in all of football, was Zach Wilson. BYU, an independent at the time, had to slap together a complete garbage schedule. And Wilson went out there and just looked like a baller and a boss. And leveraged that capital that he built up against likes of like North Alabama and I don't know, Little Sisters of the Poor into the 2nd overall pick in the draft. And I don't know if anyone can say they won bigger than Zach Wilson in 2020.
I think Michigan did.
One of the biggest
Long term.
You think Michigan did?
Long term. Obviously, short term, it was a disaster, and Michigan almost lost to a team called Rutgers, if not for heroics from Cade McNamara. But what happened after that? Well, Jim Harbaugh had to take a 50% pay cut, completely change out his staff, got rid of Don Brown, who should have been fired years prior, called up his brother, and got Mike McDonald to come in from the Ravens. And he demoted Josh Gaddis. Yes, Josh Gaddis got to keep the OC title, but that was a Stanford 09 offense that they instituted in 21. So that really set the stage for 3 years of greatness and a national title. And if 2020 hadn't happened, what would have probably happened was a 9-3 or 9-4 type season in 2020.
I think you're being very generous there. I mean, they look bad this season.
Maybe worse. Okay, fine.
They went 2-4. I mean,
Let's say
Yeah.
7-5 if COVID hadn't happened. I'm talking if COVID hadn't happened and Michigan would have had its in-person full thing in effect, because I think the Zooms affected things a lot, specifically for Michigan with how they approach their program. But even at a 7-5, Harbaugh would have stayed. They would have put up with it another year, the same exact stuff, and I don't think that you would have had the overhaul of team culture and staff that caused the success in 21 to 23. So I think if it was all status quo as it had been, 9 wins, 8 wins, whatever it wound up being, you wouldn't have seen the 3 years that followed. So I think actually 2020 caused Michigan to really
And
completely
they brought
change
in
what
the
they
greatest
did.
scandal player in Connor Stallions in NCAA history.
We thank you, Connor Stallions, for modernizing college football and bringing in radios and the headsets. Absolutely.
No, I mean, it's I mean, like in that, Ohio State didn't have to like hit rock bottom, but having these struggles, I think, is certain against Michigan is certainly making Ohio State a better program. I mean, you see the moves Ohio State's made this offseason. Like if Michigan wasn't there, this could get real stale real quick. Like they could have just run the Big Ten, and the last couple of years if Michigan didn't up its game. But still, that could have been like misleading. Like this is not, this program needed to. This program had gotten stale. It needed to make some changes. And I think that will pay big dividends here. And I could also say, like, I mean, who's to say we don't know what would have happened in 2020, but Michigan was going to have quarterback issues that season no matter what. I mean, yeah, maybe Nico Collins doesn't opt out and he comes back in and, maybe that salvages a little bit of something. But I think there's a good chance that if that 2020 season, if COVID doesn't come around, that Michigan 2020 team is bad enough to get Harbaugh fired. And then none of that happens at all. And then who knows, maybe you hire Matt Campbell from Iowa State or something after that season. Or, I mean, like the whole history for the Michigan program, I think would have been completely different had COVID not happened. So, I mean, we can't tell which way it would have gone, but I don't think any Michigan fan would trade the last 3 years for anything. So, yeah, I mean, you're definitely right. Michigan as a program, in spite of what it seemed at the time, probably was one of the big winners of the 2020 campaign.
Hey, John, here's a good question for you guys.
Yeah.
Trojan Fight asks, should incoming fans from Pac-12 expect officiating to be better or worse?
Well,
I
can't say it's been stellar. I'm not going to lie to you. There's been some shaky officiating at times in the Big Ten. Sean can attest to, Ohio State's been on the receiving end of some bad calls too. It's not like it's been one way. But I'd say overall, in the last year, I haven't seen quite as much egregious stuff. So I think it might be a little bit better than the Pac. But you're also a Big Ten fan, so give your
my biggest concern is how many of them Pac-12 officials are going to end up with Big Ten jobs.
That's a good question.
Well, probably like a third of them, because you're
bringing
bringing over a third of the conference, so probably a third of them.
Yeah,
that's where I would guess.
I just hope they keep the shit ones away. Pac-12 officiating the last 5 years has been egregious.
I want to see. Has anybody ever? Have you ever heard a single fan ever say, "You know what? The officiating era at conference, it's fantastic. Oh God, we have the best officials you've ever seen in your life. I mean, oh God, like I've never. Pretty much everyone only says anything negative about the officials in their conference because the only time they ever get any attention is when they mess up. So
Yeah, I just think that
they're an easy scapegoat
were
to,
bad.
easy place to make an excuse. Oh, we would have won if it wasn't for that. Not to say they don't affect games; they definitely do. But it's a very thankless position.
True.
2020 was that last great season we saw from the Clemson Tigers. I mean, yeah, they won the ACC in 2022, but they looked disastrous against Notre Dame and South Carolina. And last season, we saw Clemson having an undefeated November and winning the Music City Bowl against Kentucky. That wasn't much. And, 2021 was just horrible by a Clemson standard, going 10-3. Can we say that 2020 was the worst thing to happen to them, or was it bound to happen with or without a COVID season, if you will?
The one thing I would say about Clemson, kind of gets undersold, understated. For 6 or 7 years.
So just me or Sean coming in very
He
underwater.
He lost his mic.
Sounds like you're underwater.
I'll
Yeah, he's still underwater.
Uh-oh.
Sean, you're in the portal.
All right, did that fix anything?
Yeah, you're portaled.
I went through the whole thing, whole bag.
That's terrible.
Is that all of them?
That's this back.
I do that.
Yeah.
Moose.
And now he's gone. The portal ate him. Yeah, you were breaking earlier too, Jackson. I don't know if you saw my.
Yeah, I saw where
you sound fine now, but there in the beginning, you were like in and out, breaking, chopping. Are you back, Sean?
Hey, can you hear me?
There we go.
Yes, that's better.
Now you're back.
Cool. I just changed the settings real quick. All right. Okay, so what gets undersold a lot with Clemson, 6 or 7 years, they had either Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. And who knows, maybe I papered over some potential flaws that they had. They also hit on, a lot of these recruits. If you look at their recruiting classes through the middle of the 2010s, like they were good. They weren't.
Turn your mic up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're still way low.
I just turned up your settings.
All right.
Yeah, still low.
Can you hear us, Sean?
I can hear you fine.
Okay. Yeah, I just jacked up your mic settings to the max. So I don't know.
How does it sound?
Spaz, are you being on camera again?
No, it's not me.
Oh,
I don't know what Tim's saying.
I didn't do it.
no. Okay.
Oh, Tim is saying thanks for calling in. I guess you called into Conquest Collins show.
Yep. It was a good conversation.
There you go,
Oh.
Sean.
Jesus. Whoa.
That's
Now you're way up.
all right.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Ooh.
knock that back a
Drop you down
little.
bit, John.
I
Yep.
was like, holy. Blew out my eardrums, John. Jeez. Has anyone talked about any surprise teams on this list yet? Kind of like where we're at? Because
Liberty.
Well,
Liberty.
Liberty has had a couple, obviously, of good years. Obviously, this last year being 13-1. Obviously, after the Fiesta Bowl. So, of course, their percentage goes up a lot. Do you notice who's not on this list from 2020?
Clemson.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm looking for them to see if they're on here.
I'm gonna guess.
Oh, they're down here.
I'm gonna guess UConn.
Oh, damn.
and
Iowa State. Remember, 2020, Iowa State came out of nowhere
Yep.
to like run the Big 12. And outside of that, they have done absolutely nothing.
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. I called in to Mark Rogers in 21, and I said, we might need to look at Matt Campbell, and I'm glad that they didn't listen to me because yeah, that kind of went. I think he kind of missed his shot to like move on and go to greener pastures, and now he's kind of stuck.
Yeah, because all credit in the world to Iowa State. They did what they did that season. They did beat Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl, the only team from the Pac to go bowling that year, even though it was really our special teams the second half that screwed us. But yeah, Iowa State's done nothing since then. They've just been there, kind of.
Iowa State's just, I mean, that is a really difficult place to win at, though. So,
Other team had a pretty good season in 2020, but that tail end of the season, they fell apart, especially with the shoe throw against LSU.
yeah.
Florida.
Marco Wilson.
That was the dumbest penalty you could ever get. He threw that thing like 20 yards though, so I see why they threw a flag.
Oh,
He threw that shoe like 20 freaking yards. That was the fog game, wasn't it? Where they like kicked into the fog
yeah.
or whatever. You couldn't even see it.
Oh yeah. Like he basically cost.
That's why some of those games are memorable, because there wasn't a lot of other games to watch for some of us in other parts of the country.
Well, they lost a tight one to Alabama, but then they got smacked by Oklahoma, which after 2020, Florida has technically not had a winning season since. They finished.
Well, no, they're 25-25. So that's not good. That's not good.
That includes 2020.
Yeah, it's just horrible.
I mean, and Baylor's had the one good year after that, like looking at Baylor. But other than that, they've been losing. They had the one really good year
where they won the Big 12.
Yeah, just like pretty much falling apart. I mean, they're not like they're just below 500, but I mean, they haven't done anything.
I mean, it includes like a 11-2 season in there, right?
Pretty much.
North had a pretty good season in 2020. They won. I think they were the ones that won the West Division here.
Yes, they were. They played in the title game. So, interestingly enough, there was a stipulation in the initial Big Ten the sort of makeshift charter that they drew for that season that said to play for a conference title game, a team had to play 6 games during the regular season. Well, Ohio State was only able to play 5 games during that. They had to get there had to be like an emergency waiver granted play in that title game. Otherwise, the Big Ten championship game would have been Northwestern and Indiana.
How about the ratings on that one? I'm sure would have blown the doors off.
It would. It probably would. It probably still would have because it was one of the only games.
Yeah, and nothing was on. Yeah.
It still would have probably.
Yeah. You had what? You had Squid Game and the Michael Jordan documentary and this and
It would have been a Jack Tuttle-led Indiana against Northwestern. Which surely would have been a classic.
I should go back. Yeah. We should find someone. If someone can find the reviews or the ratings for the 2020 conference title games, I'm sure the SEC tops it. But
I think we just need to acknowledge that the top of any conference is going to get exceptions. I think if Alabama or Georgia were in the same situation in the SEC, they would have done the exact same thing. So I kind of was like, yeah, like I had no doubt whatsoever that if Ohio State beat Indiana, they were getting in. I had no doubt.
So look at this, though. At the top of this was interesting to me. The two semifinal games in the playoff.
I forgot that it was going to share the same screen I pulled up as I Googled it. Oh, well. Here we go. Let me zoom in so it's clear while we're here.
Outrage. Oh, wait. Oh, it says,
good Lord.
Okay, I don't know.
There we go.
Like I was like, let me make this a little clearer.
19, 18 mil. Those are those are solid.
That's pretty solid. That's definitely solid numbers. There's this huge drop off after that.
Yeah, after the CFP national championship, then it's like.
Yeah, that's the Peach Bowl game.
Yeah, Peach, Orange, and Fiesta. And Cotton, pretty similar, relatively. The Cotton Bowl. Let's see here. I was looking for conference title games, but they didn't want to show me just that. This looks like all bowl games. Yeah, I don't want the bowl season. No, I asked for the conference title games. You, damn it, Google. All right, let me find this. Let me find this. Anyways, I'll show you how I find this conference title games. So is there any other surprises though from 2020? I mean, because like I don't know if you guys talked about. I'm sure Spaz tried to interject. I would say like if you had to look at teams that benefited, quote unquote, or failed. I don't. Oregon's not in either of those categories. It's just kind of been steady streaming. I mean, you won the Rose Bowl in 2019. 2020 was kind of, still won the conference title. Only team to go bowling from the Pac-12. And then what after that? 10-win season, 12-win season. Like nothing's changed. It's just been kind of a steady course, even with coaching changes. So I'd say it's kind of neutral in the sense for Oregon.
Yeah. You also have to look at short term and long term, because I think that those are two very different topics, right? Short term, like USC, for example, had a decent season under Clay Helton, but long term, it took a couple of years. Then they get Lincoln Riley. So, did it help long term? Did it? I mean,
well, there were two people
that would know.
Well, there were two people that definitely benefited from the COVID season: Shaka Smart and Clay Helton. Because I mean, if it was a regular year, Clay Helton would have been gone. It was shown in 2021 after USC got dominated by Stanford. They got curb stomped at the LA Coliseum in week 2. That was enough for the Trojans to go, you know what? We're done. You're out. But Shaka Smart in college basketball, his seat was basically knocking on death's door. But then all that happened, if you will. And he was saved for another year. And we saw Texas winning. I think Texas won the Big 12 tournament that year, 2021. And then he left for Marquette. But that's no time for another day. But what do you guys think?
Repeat the question.
Well, I felt that Helton benefited from the 2020 COVID season because if it was just a regular year, he'd have been out the door. 2021 showed that. But what do you guys think? If there had been a regular season schedule, if 2020 was a regular year where you had Notre Dame and Alabama and like Oregon, Washington, all those games on there, would Clay Helton have survived 2020?
No.
Yeah, no. Even that year, Tim will agree. We're not picking on USC or the Clay Helton thing, but they were called the heart attack team for a reason because every game they had to come back with like 30 seconds left to win all 5 of those games. Well, I think at least 4 of those games.
Who is I can't remember who their quarterback was. Like everybody between Sam Donald and
We're losing you again.
Sean's mic is all over the place tonight.
Yeah. You got like a headset?
Hold on.
No.
That's better.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, you know what it is? I think I had my hand like over the mic something here. I'm using a Fire Stick. I think I had my hand in a bad position. Yeah.
That'll do it.
Okay. So okay. All right. Yeah, no, so like I was saying, the quarterbacks between Darnold and Caleb, I can't think of any of them. Like it's just a blur. Like, did they have who was playing at quarterback for about 5 years for USC? I can't think of a single name off the top of my head.
Well, this year it's Keaton Slovis was one.
Oh yeah, they did have Keaton Slovis. JT Daniels was there for a hot minute, right?
They had Max Brown.
Max Brown was like the guy that Darnold beat out.
Oh yeah, but I think he stayed 1 year and then he left again or something like that. Yeah, he was there for just a hot moment.
He started that game again. I think he started that game against Bama where they lost by like 50. Oh, yeah. I think he started one game at USC. When they lost to Bama by like 50.
There you go. Thank you, Tim. Yeah, they did have Jackson Dart for a hot moment too.
Wait.
Is
Jackson Dart been in college that long?
Yeah, Ole Miss's quarterback. They had Jackson Dart for a hot moment. Yeah.
God, rap. I mean, like there's. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's no, but yeah, I mean. That's the thing about wondering, like everything would have been totally different had 2020 just been a normal year if we didn't have a once in a century pandemic or once in a lifetime pandemic affect everything. So
USC has been like turning out quarterbacks and then just chewing up other ones. Like you win it or you're just nothing. It's all programs are like that though too, in a way. You know, if you have a starter and your backup's there. Oregon's done it to people too. I mean, it's the same thing.
Well, Oregon had a backup drafted into the NFL at one point, right? Who actually became an NFL starter for a hot minute. AJ Feely back in the day.
Yeah.
Briefly, I don't want to even know what his stats were in the NFL. I don't even want to know what those were like. They were probably not good.
He won a couple of games.
So what? Yeah, I mean, the thing is, do you think 2020 itself overall really negatively impacted some teams and positively impacted other teams, or do you think it's just kind of a wash, like in the sense because again, you have so many caveats of different things, coaching changes, et cetera, NIL, now and conference realignments, and do you think it actually did anything, or do you think it's blown maybe out of proportion to a degree?
I can see where it's a little bit of everything, really. Because I know that I've said that it helped it hurt some teams in college football. And I can honestly understand where, there would be some people that say, it's blown out of proportion. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It was just, we don't talk about it. I can understand where some of those people are coming from.
What about you, John? You're the reigning champion here on the panel.
Yeah, honestly, I was caught up in chat. Repeat the question.
Do you think 2020 actually did negatively or positively impact some teams, or do you think it was a caveat just kind of with everything else like conference realignment, coaching changes for teams, and NIL? Like is can you really focus it down to saying yes, this really did negatively impact this team, or no, it didn't? Like it's kind of.
I mean, with Michigan, I do think that if it wasn't for the COVID season, they would have kept status quo, like I said. So I think that it did impact Michigan long term in a very positive way. Because think about it, like I just said, like if Michigan had gone 8-4 in 2020 in the regular season, then status quo. They probably would have kept Don Brown. They would have kept everybody. And then you continue in the mediocrity, 8 wins, 9 wins. So I do think that COVID was a huge role and how crappy we did that year. But no, for some of these other ones, I do think you've got to look at, I do think conference realignment plays a role. I think NIL plays a role as you get into 22, 23. It is more than just what happened that season. But that season was was kind of the spark that brought Michigan up to a prominence that they haven't enjoyed since the 40s, really.
Well, and I will say one team that was going to be affected either way was Michigan State, because weeks before it was announced that COVID was a national emergency for the United States, guess who resigned, got their paycheck in January of 2020 before he retired? Mark D'Antonio.
Oh, that's right. The bonus. That's right.
He got his bonus, and then weeks later decided, you know what, 20 was my last year. I'm heading out. And then we see Tucker being hired to be the next head coach for Michigan State. And then we see Carl Durrell, who was the head coach at UCLA from 2003 to 2007 and was just kind of redeeming himself as an NFL assistant coach. And again, Colorado had a pretty good year in 2020, but
They did.
well, good year by their standards, which
By their
Would they win
standards.
again? Did they win again? Like
They
one
won.
win at that point?
yeah, I mean they had a good enough year, and everybody in Colorado kind of let go to their head. They didn't even go to a bowl game 2021, 2022. And
Well, that's underselling their futility tremendously by saying they didn't go to a bowl game those seasons. I mean, they were like the worst Power 5 team in the country those 2 seasons.
it was
Sean, Colorado got 4 wins
in
2020. So
4.
yeah, 4 whole wins, 2 losses.
I think Oregon won the conference with 4 wins that season, didn't they?
Yeah. Yes, and I have to stipulate here really quickly, or speculate, or not speculate, but direct is Oregon didn't get to play Washington because Washington had to cancel the game. Washington then couldn't go to the conference title game because they had to cancel going to the conference title game. So Oregon got picked. It's not like Oregon overrid Washington. Really had to cancel 2 weeks in a row because of the issues.
COVID.
Yeah, I'm trying not to say the word on YouTube, Spaz. So the
we'll
issues.
We'll get demonetized.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get a strike from fucking YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. You still
can't
gotta
even
watch.
say it.
Yeah, you still gotta watch your mouth on it. That's why
Oh,
I named
wow.
it 20. That's why I named the show 2020.
My bad. I didn't know that.
You're an idiot, Spaz. You're fired.
I think I might have
You're-
accidentally said it too.
But wait,
I think we all did.
I'm
at
sorry.
one
So
point.
you guys cut out for a second, but like if you mention the 19 on camera, like you will get punished by YouTube.
Yeah, they're. It's weird.
The 19 by name.
YouTube is so picky about this. I mean, this is a little off topic, but
It's
if
all
you
AI.
upload-
It's all
if you
AI.
If you upload
It's not like it's not like there are people like.
No, I mean, if you upload any video, even without direct conversation involved, like a short, and it has just a title that YouTube doesn't like, and it's not even profanity or anything like that or language, they'll limit you, and you have to request a review to be like, there's nothing in the video or the title. What? I'm dealing with it right now. I'm like,
Yeah.
there's no one's saying anything in the video. It's not copyrighted. What do you mean limited?
Wow.
It's that the AI is that picky.
But Colorado, back to them for a little bit. Guess who they played in the Alamo Bowl? Texas. It's funny though, Texas smacked them around, but apparently it was not enough for Tom Herman to keep his job after 2020. Because it was, and at the time I asked myself, is this similar to Bo Pelini getting fired after they beat Iowa in 2014?
Well, Bo Pelini was a difference. He just didn't get along with the boosters, period, obviously. They did not like him.
You know what that reminds me of, Jackson, is you remember Nick Saban's first year, who he beat in the
Uh-oh.
Now Sean really went into the portal.
He is just frozen in time. Everyone gaze upon this frozen face. Oh, he's back.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, he's back. Damn it. I was too late. You froze there completely for a little bit. We were like making
I know. It's been cutting in and out through the night though.
But yeah, what were you saying, Sean?
So I remember Saban's first year at Alabama. I believe they went 6-6 during the regular season and played Colorado in the Independence Bowl in Shreveport.
Yep, we won 30-24. It was played on a Sunday and it was on ESPN.
What was the weather like in Huntsville, Alabama that day, George? Jackson.
I was right there.
Who were the
Uncle of my grand.
who were the announcers on the broadcast?
I couldn't remember who the
Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson.
No, Gary Daniels.
Not for that one.
Not for the Independence Bowl. But it's just I remember that because it's hilarious where those two programs went from that point. Colorado down to utter abysmal chaos, and Bama just built the greatest dynasty in college football history from that point. So.
He needed a year to build things up, and
absolutely,
you had the SEC short with all the people, all the teams who lost to Bama or who beat Bama, and one of them was Louisiana Monroe because they did it the first season.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, don't you guys know Prime is in Colorado now, and they're going to win the Big 12.
What?
They're gonna go to
Breaking
the
news.
playoffs.
Okay, I'll believe it when I see it.
You know, well, that's something I've noticed about Colorado is, the past two
Oh, good Lord.
years, Colorado's winning season. 2016, Colorado was in the Pac-12 title game. In 2020, Colorado had a winning season. So I kind of wonder if that trend continues for Colorado.
No, because even
They might win
even
5
26 even 2016, Colorado was surprising people, but they also met Oregon's worst team in over a decade, and they only won by like 7 or something like that, and that was Oregon's worst team because we were like 4. Well, we were 4-8 that year. We were 5-7.
Yeah, 4-8, I think.
I mean, and they only won by 7. So Colorado kind of like hit their luck that year of like.
Wait. 2016, you guys went 4-8 or something like that.
Yeah. That was when
Yeah.
Helfrich got fired.
Yeah, well, you have all those. That had to have been something else. You have all those like top 5 seasons in a row, and then you just thud like that. You just like crash. I mean, that had to have been some sort of.
Oh, it was awful. Yeah, that was a.
You were like great for like 7 years before then, right?
And then after that, it's been no problems. Yeah, that year it just. That was right. They hired Brady Hoke for defensive coordinator, and we were like, well, it can't get any worse than it was. Oh, it did. that was what it was.
Captain Flaps a lot.
Yeah,
yes.
that was part of it. He tried to change a 3-4 to a 4-3 in one off season. It was like, yeah, dude, you can't do
Fucking
that.
Idiot.
You can't do that.
That why Michigan fired him?
Oh, Michigan fired him for lots of reasons. First of all, the asshole wouldn't wear a headset. So you can't communicate properly with the various components of your team when you don't wear a headset. Number one. Number two, the management of the team and the culture went down the toilet. Number three, he mismanaged a concussion protocol situation with Shane Morris against Minnesota. Lost that game like 30-7 against Minnesota. Yeah. So things kept going down the toilet after the 2011 good year, and so he got canned after 2014.
What was he there? 3 years? 4 years?
4.
He was there for
Yeah, Michigan had
the record went. He fooled everyone his first year when they pulled out a fraudulent like 10-2 Sugar Bowl win season, and then they got worse every single year under him.
That's a great topic, Jackson and Sean. But that's a great topic, Jackson and John and Sean, to bring up because you guys are going to be very knowledgeable about certain things. First year head coaches that overachieve. Why? Is it because of the former roster? What happened to the previous coach?
Mm-hmm.
Like you win a big bowl game, and then you all of a sudden just.
There is also like a random luck factor to it sometimes. I mean, we forget sometimes that, these are 12-game seasons and, there's going to be a lot of variance. And sometimes like you're just, you just win a lot of coin flips. Like, I mean, all the 50-50 games you win, you catch every break during a season and you fool everyone into thinking you're better than you are. And you go like you win a few more games than you probably should. Like that happens a lot.
Well,
it does.
Specifically with Michigan's case, it was a unique case, right? Because they still had the Rich Rod high flying offense. They kind of ran like this pro spread the first year of Hope. Yeah. And you did have a legitimate defensive coordinator in Madison. Mm-hmm. And so there was 1 year where you still had Rich Rod's, like the good elements of Rich Rod's offense mixed with an actual legitimate defensive coordinator. And I think that those elements helped create the one decent season, but then things went down the shitter pretty quickly.
I can agree. I can agree with that type of thing because it's the same as in the sense like Oregon. It'd be a little different because Chip Kelly left. Mark Helfrich though was the OC the 4 years under Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
So he was there. Then Scott Frost became the OC because he was the wide receivers coach. Everything was good. You had Marcus Mariota, which was recruited by Mark Helfrich. Mark Helfrich is the one who was like, dude, you got to look at this guy. So he had talent and vision, but he didn't know how to control a team. Because once Scott Frost left, that team just went to shambles.
But like I always felt that about Mark Helfrich when I watched him. I'm like, I'm sure he's a smart guy. Sure he knows football. But when I would watch him in like press conferences or interviews and stuff, I'm like, this is not a head coach. Like he just does not have any gravitas to him at all. Like unless you're an Oregon fan, you probably don't even know the name Mark Helfrich. Like it probably flies over your head. Like he's just kind of a nondescript, sort of easygoing, personality, right? Like you can't command the behemoth program just being kind of this nice, easygoing guy like he was.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, Spaz. What held that team together was Scott Frost, Marcus Mariota, and the long-term staff.
Yeah.
Not Mark Helfrich.
No, Helfrich was just a filler, basically, until they could find somebody else.
Well, he wasn't just a filler. I mean, he did go to a national title game, but a lot of that was Mariota and the staff. But Oregon said 1 year later, hey, you didn't perform enough the next year, losing season, you're out. And the whole staff, after like 20, 30 years there, they're like, you're all out. Like, and that's a bold decision by a university to say, you dedicate your life to us, but you're all gone.
What's his name went to Aliotti went to Fox?
Aliotti,
and then Don Pelham went to UCLA.
Aliotti was there for a very long time, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he was
two different stints because he went to the NFL for a little bit, and then he came back to Eugene and stuff like that. And Aliotti left after 2013 because he wanted to be named the head coach. But he stayed on for one more year. Then he left on his own. And that's when he started going to Nick Saban because Nick Saban called him. It's like, hey, how do you defend the spread? And Aliotti was like, oh, yeah, here's how you do this. And that's why Alabama started being able to defend against the spread teams like Sumlin's A&M and stuff a bit better. Aliotti was giving them tips. Like, yeah, this is how we do it. Aliotti. What a character. That guy.
Who's starting, Sean? Howard?
Yeah, I mean, like that's very likely. At least to start the season. Hopefully for the whole year. But yeah, Howard looks like the guy right now.
Well, didn't you guys give him like $1 million or something like that? So you probably don't do that if he's going to be the backup.
Yeah, probably not, but
he's going to be broken in October.
Oh God! Don't
if he thinks.
Yeah.
We wish no injuries on any players, even if they're rival teams.
I just said he's going to be broken. I didn't say what.
But yeah, if you love exclusive live streams, watch parties, betting advice, and all of college football, go to patreon.com/MarkRogersTV or become a YouTube member, Voice of College Football. You not only help Mark at the Voice of College Football and everyone else here in the community at the Voice of College Football, you also help yourself. How so exactly? By coming on here Sunday nights on College Football After Dark, where you can be a part of the panel discussing the latest in all of college football.
That's damn right. That is damn right. That's why I solo shot him every time he does it. No one gives a cleaner promo than Jackson Johnson.
Mark Rogers needs to hire Jackson as his promo guy.
Absolutely.
Is there any other team that you can think of tonight that has suffered from 2020? I mean, there are a lot of teams. Again, this is why it's a difficult topic. That's why I was kind of hesitant to jump into it initially when Jackson said it, because I'm like, there's so many caveats to it that go into this topic.
I feel like the A&M angle is one we haven't discussed much about. I mean, they overachieved in comparison to all the other surrounding years. Like you look at like 5 years before then and what they've been since. I mean, I don't know if anybody except for Indiana's results stand out more than theirs. I mean, they've been completely ordinary outside of that one season.
A&M's is totally different than Indiana's in the sense because A&M then had the quote unquote highest recruiting class, whatever,
Right,
in their history after that, and then did nothing with it.
Built off of the success they had in 2020.
Well,
But
exactly,
then,
and they did nothing with
that
it.
completely collapsed. I mean, it's 2 years later, and half of those guys are gone. The other half have done nothing. I mean,
And you paid a coach to literally go buy an island and just chill out with Ed Ogeron somewhere. Because you had to pay him $70 million to leave.
This is my Trump horsey. Adam,
Oh my God, Spaz, what is going on right now, Spaz?
Adam asked, "Can we talk about Trump?" And I showed him my Trump horse.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, we're not going to do that here. But I missed that. I missed that comment. Oh no, there it is. Never mind.
Yeah.
I missed the comment. So that's why I was like, what's happening right now?
People come on the Voice of College Football, get a break from politics. They real world. They get a break from crying when everyone else is crying and being the angriest person in the world. You're not going to get that here at the Voice of College Football. You're not. You don't have to worry about any of that. Who's pissed off? Not here at the Voice of College Football. It is have to be pissed about whatever the trend is, or be happy about whatever trend is. You are your own person right here at the Voice of College Football. You can be your own person, and you can discuss your favorite teams, like, not just the Blue Bloods of college football, but you could be a fan of Indiana, Cincinnati, Wake Forest. Come one, come all. Everybody. Sure.
We have a Rutgers fan in the chat right now.
We have a Beaver in here too. Ralph is here.
But as to A&M, 2020,
the Pac-2
overachieved. Great recruiting cycle then for like a year or two.
Oh yeah,
did absolutely nothing with it. Absolutely nothing. And most of those players, a lot of those players are gone now to other teams to help them out.
No. And I mean, like, honestly, wasn't it so predictable that was going to be the fate of A&M? Like when people heard like they built the greatest recruiting class ever, how many people were like, "Oh my God, A&M's coming," or is it like, "Yeah, this is a big Ponzi scheme"?
No, the day they hired Jimbo Fisher, and you saw the amount and the 10-year contract, it was like, you're idiots. This man won a national title. I get this.
Mm-hmm.
He went back to the playoffs, after barely getting to the ACC, got smoked by Oregon, has had shit years since then, and then you give him 10 years, $100 million with 70 or whatever, 80 million guaranteed. Like, you're idiots.
And I mean, like, this is what you have. Like, you have a lot of rich oil donors at Texas A&M. They haven't won jack in forever. I mean, like, they've been one of the most underachieving programs.
Yeah, the last
they have a massive inferiority complex, so much so to their in-state rival that they had to leave a conference, had to go to a better conference just to prove that I mean, like, this program needs therapy. This university needs therapy.
Oh,
it really does. I mean, it's just they have things they need to get over before they ever plan on being like serious adults.
First-
I mean, this
do-
is
do-
not, this is
first
not a
thing-
serious school.
First thing they need to do is get rid of that yell squad.
Yeah.
That is like the stupidest thing. When was it? Oh yeah, remember the yell squad video the night before they played App State and they lost at home?
They were
Well,
Oh, it's
I
so
remember.
good,
I remember
so
that
good.
time. I remember that time when they planned to hire Mark Stoops for a minute, and then the
Oh, yeah.
boosters went ape shit, and we all had a good laugh about that for a couple of days, because they thought they could get like Urban Meyer or something.
That was the most Texas A&M like. But there's like 2 or 3 schools in the country that story could happen at, and Texas A&M is definitely one of them. Yeah.
But the last time they won a conference title was in 1998, and even then it was somewhat of a negative because they lost to Texas that year. And
Oh yeah,
and the last
wow.
And they got blasted by the Buckeyes in the Sugar Bowl that year. I'll add on.
Had to mention that. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
won a national title was in 1939. Do you know the top movies that were out that year? Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Oh my
Was that
God.
Gone with the Wind? Was that year or the?
Yeah, I think that was that year actually. 39.
Yeah, 1939. Everything was in black and white back then.
They were still having bread lines back then. We were still in the middle of the depressions.
A&M, as much as I make fun of other teams like Clemson and stuff like that, A&M is the ultimate definition of a cult.
Yeah.
That is what a cult looks like. I'm sorry you watch them and everyone's just in sync. The motion, they've got the fucking their ROTC guys, whatever. It's a cult. The dog. I feel bad for the dog.
Yeah, and I mean, like, especially a border collie. I mean, those dogs are so goddamn smart.
It's just dying out there.
They're smarter than the fans.
It is dying out there in the Texas heat.
Go have an A&M conversation with Kelvin on Spaces.
No thanks.
That guy is the most delusional A&M fan I've ever met in my life.
That's all of them.
Yeah. It's a 15 million way tie for.
I can make fun of A&M. I'm like 45 minutes from College Station. I can make fun of them.
I don't know what's making me laugh more.
Do you see a lot of A&M iconography when you're out and about?
It's more as you're driving down the highway, you'll see like the little kind of like A&M placards on the cars, like decals, because they're a graduate of A&M. That's about it. It's not necessarily like banners or flags or something like that being fans. It's more like we're a grad. That's it.
Yeah. So like, I feel like being an A&M fan is a bit like being a Michigan State fan up here in Michigan. Like, I feel like everyone who's a Michigan State fan here has some connection to the university. Like they went there, or they're everyone else is a Michigan fan. Like, that's how it kind of feels.
Oh no, I didn't even tell Spaz this last Tuesday or Wednesday on our show. My boss, he's a husky.
Oh,
He went to Washington.
poor bastard.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a husky. I didn't even know that for sure because he's from the Pacific Northwest, like the Oregon region, like northern area originally. And then he was like, came in the other day. He's like, well, look at him with his Oregon mug. To the new guy, he's like, at least we have a national title. I'm like, there it is. There it is.
I did enjoy Washington fans right before the Natty, and they were chirping like, Adunze is better than Marvin Harrison Jr., and we're gonna just like throw all over you guys, and it was pretty adorable.
I hate that game so much because of the fact that Michael Penix would never miss a throw and no receiver would drop a ball until they played Michigan, and then all of a sudden he's overthrowing everyone.
Yeah,
I'm like,
because of the pressure, elite pressure we were.
that fourth down he missed. It was so wide open down the field.
Oh, that was
like,
unbelievable. My jaw hit the floor when I saw that. Oh my god!
Yeah, as Oregon fans, we were like, "Oh, now you want to start missing like wide open guys? All right, cool."
The last thing I was thinking,
He had a couple games like that during the season. It was always against like Arizona State where you didn't have to, or
Yeah.
whenever he played Oregon or that one game against Texas, I mean,
just dropping dimes.
He was playing god level quarterback in those games.
Exactly, it was like this. So in the Michigan game, I was like, "Now you want to do this? All right, cool."
but the last thing I've been thinking about on my mind was how we regular season game in December, in the second week of December, and how we had the Heisman Trophy in January. Like, I think it was after the national title, I want to say.
And a Heisman Trophy that was won by a wide receiver who didn't return kicks, which was like the first time, I think, since Irving Fryer, I think. It's the first time since about like 1983-ish that you just had a pure wide receiver win a Heisman.
Yeah.
He definitely earned it, though. I mean, there's no way you could. I mean, he was. Devontae Smith was out of this world that season.
Well, kind of like how COVID kind of changed the NFL schedule release date from April to May, starting in 2020. Do you think that should have done that for college football with the Heisman Trophy? And should have it done that down conference championship week to like the second Saturday of December, or are we good where we're at for conference title week? Because you got to think about Army Navy having that spot to itself, but now it's like the Army Navy spot being by itself is threatened a little bit by two bowl games. There are two sloppy bowl games this year.
I'll be honest. I kind of think we should do away with conference championship games with the 12-team playoff. And I think it's a little bit of an unfair burden on the teams that play that weekend. But
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, no, but I mean, as far as the Heisman, I think that's a regular season award, and I think postponing it to after the bowl games, that will just put too much emphasis on the one game that they play.
I don't know about that. I think with the 12-team playoff and the expansion of the postseason, it changes things a bit. I mean, I personally think there are so many times where like you have a regular season winner, and then if you factor in the postseason, it becomes someone else. I think we've seen that historically. I mean, obviously USC, won 9 games, or not USC, LSU went 9-3 with their Heisman quarterback. And would it have been him if they had factored in the postseason? Maybe still.
Yes. Definitely. It wouldn't have changed this year at all. He definitely would have still won.
And that's fine.
But I mean, like if Penix balled out against Michigan and Washington wins that game, then maybe he wins. You know.
I agree.
So, but where did Ben go? Did he say?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He just pops in and out. But hey, I'm gonna
All
pop
right.
off, guys. I will. I'll be back again.
Wait, are you leaving for good, or are you just
Yeah, I'm gonna bounce for the night.
okay?
Okay.
Cool.
I still haven't had dinner and shit. So,
Yeah. Later, Spaz.
all right, guys. Talk soon.
Follow Spaz at Sean underscore Spaz Drag. We'll post that in the chat for everybody.
Here we go. And then there's 4.
Kind of three plus. No, so what other topics from 2020 were there? So there were one thing we haven't touched on at all were the opt-outs that season and how those might have.
Oh, yes.
Nico Collins.
Yeah. So looking through like the top, if you look even like towards the top of guys that went in the following NFL draft, you had guys like Jamar Chase didn't play that year. Penei Sewell not in there. Micah Parsons opted out that season, and I don't know. Yeah, a lot of players opted out. Jamie Newman was transferred from Wake Forest to play at Georgia, and then opted out of the season completely, leaving JT Daniels to run the show at Georgia. I mean, so how did opt-outs, do you feel, affect that whole season? Yeah, Michigan had Nico Collins, obviously a very talented, high-level receiver in the NFL now.
I think it definitely had an effect on Penn State's season. And, you know, that game-winning 2-point conversion, that game by that definitely had to have been a turning point. So there was that. But the Michael Penix play, I mean, that was a turning point. But Micah Parsons opting out because, like, I'm not taking a chance in this crappy year. That definitely had a big say in what happened for the Nittany Lions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if Nico Collins playing would have really impacted that much. I mean, it was pretty much a shit show. I think he would have had the same, honestly, too. Like, also because Michigan never really relied super heavily on wide receivers anyway. Although with Josh Gaddis' system, it was a little bit more. But yeah, I don't think that particular opt-out would have impacted things that much.
And I mean, like we're talking like guys that are superstars in the NFL right now. Jamar Chase, Micah Parsons, Penei Sewell. Just said, nah, I'm good. We're out this season. One thing I was worried about when that happened was like, could this lead like in the future to players just saying, you know what? I'm a sophomore. I'm a guaranteed top 5 pick, top 10 pick. I don't really feel like playing this next year. I mean, I don't really feel like taking the risk of getting an injury, it's not my best interest to play. And that hasn't happened.
You had won Jackson Smith and Jigba. I know he was injured for some of that season.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah. I mean, like, it's hard to know whether that was like a real opt-out or not, or how serious the injury was. It's very possible that he was just extremely conservative protecting his stock.
Again,
that's why he never came back. I can't judge either way.
That's another caveat to 2020 is like, did people just decide to sit out because they could, or did they get a little injury and go, you know what, screw it, I'm going to go to the NFL anyways. That's why they said this is so. It's hard to put into terms exactly how it affected teams because there's so many variables to the situation, the dynamics of all of this. I do agree with John, though. It did help Michigan. It put Jim Harbaugh. Sorry, I almost said John Harbaugh. I was looking at your name. Jim Harbaugh, kind of in his place on the hot seat, where he took the pay cut, made decisions, and carried on. Move forward, made different decisions, and obviously that ultimately led to this last season. And then I think he ended up in the best position that he wanted to be in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he toyed with it for a couple of years. He ended
Well, I mean, the NFL at that point in his career, though, the NFL wasn't even really an option for Jim Harbaugh. They didn't want anything to do with. No one was bringing him on to lead their organization.
Well, I mean, but the point is, he interviewed with teams. That's the point. He toyed with.
Not at this point. That was really after the 2021 season.
Well, no. But I'm saying though, the 2020 season was a starting point where he said, "Okay, I got to start doing this now." And he said, "I'll take this cut, stay here, pay my staff, but I'm going to make these changes." And then you saw a progression start. So it was, I would say it was definitely, it definitely started the changes that Michigan needed to make under Jim Harbaugh, like hiring Connor Stallions.
That was, look, I mean, dedication, manifesto.
You thought you were going to get out of this whole show?
Like a former Naval Academy graduate. I mean, was he a Marine? Was he in the Marines? Yep.
He was a Marine.
Was he actually, though? All I ever read, he went to an academy. You're not a Marine if you're in the academy.
He was a Naval Academy. That's where you go to if you're going to be a Marine Corps officer. That's where you go.
No, I know, but all I heard was he just went to the academy.
He's a captain. He was a captain,
which I think is like the lowest level officer, but
no, that's third level. First lieutenant or second lieutenant, first lieutenant, captain.
Okay.
So that's third level. Most of those, which is funny because most of those the captain usually takes about 8 to 9 years to get to. So he must have been pleasing someone doing some sideline work for the academy. Also,
some off the field activities.
Outside the academy. He's an overachiever in all realms.
Look, he's an entrepreneur, vacuum business.
That is true.
He is. I will tell you this.
Just ask his business partner Blake Corum how
oh God. Oh,
look,
that's so good.
I mean, if I'm gonna seriously address the topic here, the fact is, if you watch those games against Washington, against Alabama, even with the exception of the third quarter against Alabama, it is very clear Michigan just was better in the trenches against Washington. They were better, or at least matched Bama. You look at almost every regular season game they played. To Ohio State's credit, Ohio State actually matched up really well with Michigan in 23. But you could clearly see in almost every single game I'm sorry, but Connor Stallions being there or not being there wouldn't have impacted Michigan blowing the doors out of Michigan State 49-0. And guess what? Michigan State was doing check with me and running back, the quarterback was running over to the sidelines every other play to get the play calls because they didn't want to show any signals. So, did it impact a bunch of games? I don't think so. I think you're going to see a very light punishment from the NCAA coming in the next, whenever they get to it.
Oh no, we always just dig at you about the Connor Stallions thing because it always upsets Michigan fans so much. And
Yeah,
it's
just in
so much
case
fun.
anybody, is just kind of tuning in and out, and they wanted to get the real take there.
It's just so much fun for us because it's just such an absurd story.
It is pretty absurd.
But of course, everyone watching this live stream of College Football After Dark from June 23rd, 2024, if you're looking for college football content creators, college football people that have been discussing about 2020 help or hurt your team in all college football, well, the Voice of College Football did some ESPN, Fox, CBS, NBC did not discuss. None of those guys discussed it. But we here at the Voice of College Football discuss that topic. And if you want, we can most definitely continue discussing this topic as much as possible. So come on in and discuss your college football taste and all college football by signing up as a Patreon member of the Voice of College Football or becoming a YouTube member where you could get some of the best coverage in all college football. Betting it right. Prediction. Live show. So on and so forth. Insider. Help Mark. And you not only help the Voice of College Football community, help by becoming a member on College Football After Dark Sunday nights right here at the Voice of College Football. Stay tuned.
Golf clap.
Jackson, have you ever looked into doing Cameo? Well, I feel like if I ever wanted to send a message to anyone, I would want it to come through your mouth.
That sounded very inappropriate. Very inappropriate.
Just for the record, real quick on to wrap up on Connor Stallions. If you want to, you can be a member of the Connor Stallions espionage team on Michigan Football, the Voice of College Football, because we now have YouTube memberships on the Michigan channel, and Connor Stallions espionage team is the top tier membership. So you can be a Connor Stallions espionage team member on Michigan Football, the Voice of College Football.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Well, I don't want to send any messages through your mouth, John. So you can keep it short.
Awesome.
All right, gentlemen. It is 11:34 here Central Time. Mm-hmm. I have to get up at 5:40 in the morning.
Yep.
Is there any final thoughts, though, on the 2020 season outside of, again, I'm telling everyone in the chat, please go back and watch a highlight of your team if you were outside the SEC, like if you were in the Big Ten or the Pac-12. Watch one of the highlights of those games with no crowd, and you'll be like, wow, this was bizarre. So outside of that, do you guys have any, Jackson, Sean, John, do you have any final comments on the 2020 season or how it impacted the future of your specific team, potentially?
As an Alabama fan, I was happy about the season, but as a college football fan, I was not happy about the season. I just wanted to get through it, regardless who won it all.
Okay, so I don't know how much it affected Ohio State's program directly. Obviously, it was a very pivotal season for our biggest rival, and that indirectly affected the future of the program greatly. But I have gone through the whole show without mentioning the Ohio State game against Clemson. I mean, if it's not my favorite Ohio State game of all time, it's top three. I mean, it's a contender. That was a thing of beauty, and I mean, outside of a wonky, warbly, I mean, just completely disjointed season. that's the one treasure I will always hang on to is getting revenge on Clemson in just a massive way, beating them by 5 touchdowns, in a semifinal. I mean, that was about as satisfying of an experience as I've had. And to be honest, like, I almost don't care that we got whipped in the title game. We can have the excuse that we had a bunch of guys, out with COVID protocol. And in my opinion, they should have postponed that game another week. Ohio State still would have lost. They would have lost. I mean, that Alabama team was a beast. They were. We had a 10% chance at best of winning that game fully healthy, but that was such a I don't know, the whole season, that whole year of 2020 is something I think most of us want to forget. There wasn't most of our experiences were just negative.
Yep.
And very little of it had to do with college football.
You forget. You forget 1,000 things every day. Make sure this is one of them.
Right.
Yeah. Look, man. 2020 was a shit show for pretty much everybody.
It is something that was a horrible experience that you're almost happy to have gone through in a way, right? I mean, it's it's so bizarre, so odd. Like, feels like you should have one of those years in your life. But go ahead, John.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been fine not having it personally, but
Yeah.
it's all it's all good. It all worked out with the Natty. So I mean, now I look back and I look back on it a little bit better than when I was in 2020 and we had to get some heroics to beat Rutgers. That was rough waters there for a bit.
Yeah, and as the Oregon guy, the West Coast fan, it sucked because it was such a short season, but that was just the decisions made, and all around it was just a bizarre season. I mean, to say the least. At least there was a season, though.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Well, then, gentlemen, let me start it off and let me go around the table here because I don't want to forget. I always forget. If I don't do it first, I forget to ever do it. So, one, everyone in the chat, we appreciate you being here. We're going to come back probably in 2 weeks. We'll find a new topic to talk about over the summertime because we are, I believe I saw somebody said 10 Sundays away from college football, which is so close, so far away.
There we go.
Yeah.
Close. It's so far away. It sounds good, but it's not that soon still.
I want when it gets close.
You're also like 10 Sundays is like almost the whole season itself, right?
I wonder, like, when it gets to August, if we'll still see Pop-Tarts spike in the ref or we'll see Brian Kelly.
Oh, don't tempt me.
No. That is.
But I'm like Spaz. I'm dyslexic. I'm just Ben of Exploring with Ben Sam right here on YouTube. Check me out. I'll be live tomorrow night doing shenanigans with people live tomorrow night, and maybe I'll be doing a live stream of the debate on Thursday night. It's must-watch TV. I mean, I think we can all say it's must-watch TV. No matter what you do, it's gonna be must-watch TV.
A debate between who?
Those two people, Sean. Yeah, shut the language. But yeah, check me and Spaz out Tuesday night, Oregon channel here on the Voice of College Football with Big Ten Ted, as we talk about Oregon's intro into the Big Ten, as we are still all wrapping our heads around it, and the logo change and all that good stuff. So Jackson, where can people find you again if they want to follow you?
They can find me at Jackson Johnson 969 at YouTube, where I've just reached 348 subs. I am now 152 subs away from the magic number 500. They can find me on X at Jackson0996 0335. And they can find me on Jackson Johnson 543908 on Instagram and Threads. And of course, I've got episode 38 of the Jacksonian set for tomorrow morning, and it will be released sometime afternoon, as I will be talking with Justin Coos Walker, the host of Coos' Corner, about the latest Big 12 West Virginia football and much, much more, especially about conference realignment.
And you can find Sean at 53 Forest Lane. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
You actually got the first 2 digits of my address right there.
Oh,
So
shit.
I actually I'm like, what kind of freaking stalker are you? What are you doing?
Damn.
You're done. Yeah.
He about shit himself.
I'm Sean. You can find me here on the Voice of College Football, or like I said, Thursday night at Bell's Central Cafe in Kalamazoo. I will be there enjoying the musical stylings of Mr. Kurt Vile.
Mr. Kurt, what?
There it is. There it is. Everyone screenshot that and make a meme.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
You got it? I'm here.
Mr. Kurt who?
Kurt Vile.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're in the southwest part of Michigan or the northern part of Indiana,
That one's better. That one's better. Do it. Do it, everyone. Get it. Get it while you can.
Get it? Yeah.
Get it.
Oh, my God.
if not, I will be. You can see me whenever John chooses. Okay, whenever John decides to bring back the Ocho, you can maybe find me there from time to time. So,
hey, how about the Michigan Wolverines call-in show live that does exist? How about that? You have been part of that once or twice, I think.
I have been. I have been.
Yeah.
So,
Appreciate that.
Yep, we'll see us. I'm always around. You guys, on the various shows that I don't have a restraining order or don't have a restraining order against me. So
There you go.
I will.
Third time's a charm,
froze
people.
again.
Third time's a charm. Get it.
Oh,
Get it while
my
you
God.
can. You better have the snipping tool ready to go.
Okay.
We're not talking anything. Nothing. Nothing.
John. What? I'm sorry. No, it's
My turn? Cool. So everybody can follow me at John Diadamo on Twix. You can check out my show Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, Michigan Wolverines Live. And check out the Michigan Football at Voice of College Football channel, because we're doing stuff every day. There's now a second weekly live show called Michigan Wolverines Call-In Show Live, Thursday night at 8, with TJ Ronan as host. And TJ rules, and he's been putting out recruiting content as recruits get announced. So, like, if you had been subscribed and hit the bell, you would have gotten a notification like an hour after we announced a commit, TJ was on talking about that commit. And that happened a couple of times today. So definitely hit the bell, subscribe, all that good stuff.
AJ, a lot of followers on X. Let's get him to 1,000 real soon.
Good stuff.
That is good stuff. And once again, the chat, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate the super chats. The super chats help the channel, help Mark out a lot. And obviously appreciate Jackson, Sean, John, Spaz. We had Austin for a little bit and Hunter. They dropped out. They were having some issues. So obviously we appreciate them coming on, trying to talk with us. And that's the point. Like Jackson said, become a YouTube member. You can get on the Discord. You can join this panel. You can also contribute to ideas or thoughts because, hey, especially the off season, there's, you do start kind of getting kind of limited thoughts, especially the dead period is around. It's all quiet time. So you're just trying to think of nostalgia stuff. But we'll be back in a couple weeks with a good topic. Something a little heated and contested, maybe. My ass has got to get up though soon. So for work. So once again, gentlemen, thank you for being here. But everyone, please make sure to hit the like and subscribe. Check out Mark's sponsor in the description section for Southern New Hampshire University. It could help you. If you don't do anything, it still helps the channel just by checking them out and contacting them. So please do consider it. And we will see all of you in a couple weeks. And Jackson, please, do you want to tell the people what's coming? Maybe not. What's going on with everyone's connection tonight?
Yeah, just called.
Everyone's connection tonight is like Jackson. Cue the outro. All right, fuck it. Play me out, Pop-Tart. Dirty referee.
Yeah, that referee was acting bad. He got that
really
33-degree Mason.
Getting it, yeah.
I wonder if that was before. He must have made a bad play call.
I'm a bad ref.
Bad referee.